And we're up.
Tonight, privacy with a purpose. Best screening plants for large lots.
On another riveting episode. Nature's Rhythm Learning Studio. Tonight, coming live to you from our office in TR.
All right, just what we were talking about today.
Privacy. Leave me alone.
Good old privacy. What's some of the most common requests we get from homeowners in the Carolinas?
People want to know about privacy screens. Good fences make good neighbors and all that, I guess. Yeah, we need more privacy. Everybody wants privacy. I get it because you've got little lots or neighbors that can see, whatever. So whether it's to block street views, create a backyard sanctuary, or add separation from neighbors, the right plants can deliver privacy and beauty. Unlike fences, which can feel harsh or temporary, just a solid block of whatever, living screens grow, change, and enhance the character of your property over time. Here are some of our favorite screening solutions for large lots in the upstate.
Thoughtful Thursdays, oh hey, hey, designed into the rhythm of nature, they say.
Dance time. Thoughtful Thursday.
All right. Should I kick us off here with our first bullet?
You should.
Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
All right, guys. So, principles to screening your yard. We're going to start with the backbone of most all designs, honestly, and that's our favorite kinds of plants.
Mm-hmm.
Big, strong, resilient evergreens.
Evergreen.
We love
Forever
evergreens.
and ever. Amen.
So, that is what's going to anchor your entire design. Why? Why, Jesse?
They're like the bones. They make they define, but in a privacy situation, they're going to define your border, right? Create your box, your
and
exterior
they stay
wall.
Green forever.
And they stay green.
Year round.
Yeah.
So
that's why they're called evergreen, because they're forever green.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things to remember.
Listen, do you know some? Sorry, go ahead, please. What things to remember?
So evergreens are amazing because they're durable, but they're kind of boring. So that's why they anchor everything. So you could, a lot of times you'll drive by and you see like the screens that's just one species of evergreen that just creates this wall, which is, could be cool, but we like to add a little more flair.
Yeah, a little pop.
A little sneak peek as to what we'll break down this good example of a client of ours that has a pool that obviously looks straight into the neighbor's yard. They didn't want a fence. They took down the fence. So they were like, but now we took down the fence and now we've got this huge sight line that looks straight into our pool. We don't like that. So how can we screen that nature's rhythm? So
at one point, I think they thought about doing straight bamboo. Right?
Yeah.
That's basically a fence, y'all.
You don't want to just have one species of plant do the whole thing because A, that doesn't look so good. Mm-hmm. B, if a bug comes and attacks that plant, it's going to attack all your plants. So they're all going to die at the same time. And it's just, you need a resilient screen. So a couple keys here. Rule of thumb for spacing.
Yes.
You're going to get
I think we
the
get
mature.
We might be getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, really?
I think we get into... Don't we get into spacing somewhere? Maybe
at the very end, a little tip. But I'm going to be very
let's get into it
early with the tip here.
Yeah, let's get in here.
You're going to take the entire width of your plant, and then we like to take 75% of that.
The entire width of the plant when I buy it, or what it's going to look?
Mature.
Oh, okay.
At mature. This is critical, guys. A lot of people buy this little plant. They don't realize how big it's going to get. You put them really close together, so when they grow, they're all meshed up into each other, and then one dies, and then the other ones are only at like quarter growth because they didn't get enough sunlight, so now they're all deformed.
True. And
it's just going to be a domino effect, and you have to reset and wait many, many years until that screen establishes itself again. So what we like to do is about 75%. You can do the entire width if you want, if you don't want them touching, but basically you take the width of that plant, and that's the spacing you want on center between each plant. So per se,
let's give an example.
Per se,
okay,
there's a plant that is at mature size, like these Carolina sapphires per se.
Yeah,
they will have a 10 to 20 foot spread.
We're gonna get 10 to 20 feet wide.
Right. So let's say 15 feet, 75%. Right.
Yeah,
that's a good rule of thumb. So then on center, we're going to space them out 15 feet.
15 feet from this to the next center, in the center of the next one.
So that way, at mature size, we'll have about 5 feet of overlap.
Right.
Once they get to that point, and we'll have a cohesive screen,
Solid
but
screen.
the plant itself will have enough space to grow
Right.
maturely, happily, and be a very healthy plant.
Right. Okay. And I imagine airflow is probably a big deal with the spacing.
For sure.
So you get that spacing. The plant itself has the airflow it needs, but doesn't have the other plants around it stifling it.
And so some people will say, well, hey, that's a lot of space between the plants. I'm going to be able to see through them for a long time. That's true. So what you can do,
We have options.
offset them, my friend.
Ching, 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 ching.
Space them out correctly there. And you have a diagonal and create a triangle and shoot the gap between each plant.
Mm-hmm.
That way you'll have a much more effective screen.
See that right there?
So if you see, we have 5 anchors. We want Carolina Sapphires to have a little appeal of the color. That little hue is quite nice.
Thank you, Clemson, for
So we
making that
got
one for us.
1, 2, 3, and then 2 in between.
Mm-hmm.
5 odd numbers are very appealing. So that is how we're starting this screen right here, Jesse.
Yep.
And that's what's anchoring it right now. That's our base. And so you have a bunch of options like the Thuja Green Giant. That's a very common one.
The arborvitae, right?
Very good. Arborvitaes are extremely healthy. Great plant.
Grow very fast.
Yep. You got your Eastern Red Cedars. They have nice bark.
Classic.
Very nice bark.
Classic.
And you have your Carolina Sapphires, of course. And then there's also plenty of different kinds of varieties. You can get ones that have a little yellow hue to them, ones that just stay a deep green.
There's an American pillar that doesn't get very big this way, but gets nice and tall that way.
And you got huge ones, smaller ones, so make sure you get your variety right because that could lead to catastrophe if you get a green giant instead of a smaller variety.
Totally true. Yeah, you got to check the cultivar on every time.
Yeah.
Just because it says arborvitae doesn't mean it's going to be a 60-foot tree.
That's right. But all right, so we covered that, Jesse.
I think one more thing I want to say before we move on.
Go ahead.
Just because it's an evergreen doesn't mean it has to have like spiky leaves, like a pine tree or
Little Jim Magnolia.
evergreen. Classic for this area. Becomes a nice mid-height shrub to put into your screen to break up the monotony of whatever else you put in there.
That is a perfect segue
Yeah?
into our next topic because now we're all evergreen. So if this just stays green all year round, I need some interest, Jesse. There's something I can do here to add maybe a little flair.
You got a problem with green? You don't like green, huh?
Not every. Not
I
for
guess
the whole
it can
year.
be too much. Too much of a good thing can happen, right? All right, so we'll get some flowers. How about flowers? You like flowers?
I love flowers.
Well, let's get some flowers then. All right, so the camellia is one that definitely comes up. You just got to pay attention whether or not your screen is in the shade or the sun, or the part of the screen where you want to put the camellias in the shade of the sun. And think about if you're really thinking about it, you got to think about the trees you put around it. Are they going to block it from the sun? So you got to think it's a depth to that. But if you got more sun, look at your sanguis. If you're looking more of a shade situation, look at your japonicas. Again, read the tag. Make sure your cultivar matches your situation. Right plant?
Right place.
There we go. Loropetalum, very popular around here. Big time. Look at the variety that you're picking out. You can have some that only get 2 feet tall. Not going to be great for your privacy screen, unless you put it down in the front, down low. Or you have some that get 15 feet tall. So choose correctly. Choose wisely. And then the Viburnum, also a classic for the area, does well, very dependable. Again, check the cultivar. You have some that they have different cultivars out there. So make sure you pick a good one. Fragrant, you can get some fragrant flowers. Always have trouble saying that.
Fragrant
Flowers. It's so fragrant.
Elmer Fudd over here.
I'm hunting for rabbit. So those are a couple options, but just make sure whatever you choose, check your tag, or you can come to us. We can check your tag for you.
That's right.
All right, Steve. So we talked about flowering shrubs, and we talked about fast-growing evergreens. Imagine those two things are different heights.
Yes,
they grow different heights, right?
So now
does that come into our next? Let's get us. Is that a part of our next little segment here?
It is, because now we have all of our paint colors, right?
Big paint, little paint.
We have our palette, but how do we actually work this? Like everything, layering is key. So we play on angles, we play on the layers.
Okay.
So tall trees usually hit in the back, because that's going to be your structure in the back, your background per se.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you'll have your mid-sized plants, which would be like your understory trees,
talk about those.
Your larger shrubs. That's your accent pieces. And then in the front, you're going to have your ornamental grasses or your low stuff. So that way you have 3 distinct layers that creates depth, beauty, and most importantly, the screening effects. That's what we're going with.
In a natural looking way.
This one was kind of complicated because we wanted to make sure we had appeal from both sides because we don't want to, mess with the neighbor too much, right?
Well, they say good fences make good neighbors. I think I said that once already. So, yeah.
So basically what we did here was we had our common rush. It's a great plant, very resilient,
very tough,
nice texture. Right here by the pool to break up that hard line there. We added some palm trees because, tropical accent.
You're by the pool,
Match the pool. So on this side, we're a little more tropical. Then we have pops of smell. We have the tea olives here and there. And so that'll bloom, create a beautiful smell. This time of year right now, they're blooming like crazy. I bet it smells great. We have our fringe tree, which is our understory right here and on the back side. So that's where we're starting to play on both sides of this angle here. So that looks good from all directions. And then we have, of course, the Carolina sapphires we just talked about right here in the middle. And then we have 2 accents of the arborvitaes right there to hold down the anchors, if you will. So that way with this offset between the odd numbers and then shooting all the gaps in between the staggered spacing of all the plants will create a very compelling screen.
Yes.
That has year-round interest, pops of smell, pops of blooms, pops of flowers, different leaf textures all around. And in a couple years, when this really fills in, this will be pretty cool.
It certainly will be. And it's not just the you talk about smells, and it's not just the blooms on these. The
Carolina
sapphires and the arborvitaes, they all have a great smell as well. So you can get out there, and it's not just the flowers that are here. Other interesting things about playing the angles on this property in particular, the front of the house is kind of like over here somewhere. But in between the 2 houses, there's one angle where if you're on the street, you can see into the backyard. And so we had to fix that angle by, again, using, I think it was a Carolina sapphire we put there, right? Or was it an arborvitae?
It was an arborvitae.
Arborvitae we put there to hit that one angle. And it's just one plant in the right spot, and it makes this backyard completely.
It takes a while, guys. You'll have a plan, but when you go on site, set that plant down, step back 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, if you can, whatever that sight line is, just go around the plant and really make sure that you're breaking up the sight line you want, or you want to keep the sight line you want to have.
Yeah, it's important. That's why one of the main components to CA for a planting plan that we would do is going to be, we're going to get the plants, we're going to go out there, we're going to put them in the right places, because we get them where we think they're supposed to be in our 2-dimensional world on our computer. When we get out in the real world, things can be shifted just right. And so that's why it's important to be thorough in your construction administration yourself, or you just hire us.
A couple inches to the left or to the right can really
makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. So that's a naturalistic layering.
So you have any tips for success?
I know a couple tips.
We have all this information?
I know a couple tips. We brought up one. Steve stole a little bit of my thunder earlier by bringing up spacing, but it is very important. You'll see, especially people like to put arborvitae green giants, and they'll put them 8 feet apart.
Because you buy them and they're very small, Jesse. I'm like, I want the effect of me. I'm going to put them real close together. But in the long term, guys, that is just setting yourself up for absolute disaster.
It's gonna be rough. Now let's say you bought a house and they had done this, and you're like, how can I prevent this whole thing from dying in the future? The recommendation would be every other one, probably more than likely, but every other one, you just got to yank it out.
Yep.
And you cull that. That'll save the other ones that are growing there. They can grow in and form up nicely. And then those holes you create, you come back with
Little Gem Magnolia.
Magnolia or whatever, and you put it in those gaps out in front. Now you're adding that depth, and there are ways to fix that problem if you find yourself in a situation. So hope is not lost, but spacing matters.
There's time to recover.
Water wisely. A lot of times these you're putting this screen out away from your house, and it's not a place that would typically have your hose is going to reach or whatever, but you got to make sure that you're watering out there at least till they get established. Once they get established, you can kind of back off.
This one had a temporary watering
system for a moment. Yeah. And that's temporary is key. It can be a soaker hose, it can be a drip hose, it can be whatever temporary you want to come up with. don't like sprinklers all that much, especially on some of your evergreens, especially in the summertime, because
There's
a lot of
runoff
heat,
and a lot of
a lot of
waste.
moisture, a lot of humidity, and you get mold growing. So you got to be careful with that, and a lot of waste. But you can absolutely be a temporary way to keep those plants watered, get them established, and you can pull that stuff out, and you don't have the headache any longer. And then think long term. This is privacy today is important, but beauty in 5 years is even better. Remember that plants are not they're not really compatible with this idea of instant gratification. Plants are, I got to put it there, and I'm going to have a little patience, a little zen, and it's going to be beautiful.
Now you can though, if you want to spend $10,000.
That's true.
On full size plant on the install.
That's true. So
that is available, but most of the time you don't want to pay.
It's not completely incompatible, but to make up the compatibility, you're going to need a bunch of money.
Because big plants are very expensive.
Kind of like
and it's just not worth it.
This coach I know, and his never mind. I'm not going to say.
I personally feel like when you're growing the plant from a smaller size, you also are caring for the plant in that spot, so it's not as big of a shock when you're getting a full size plant, and digging it up and moving it to a whole new condition. They don't adapt quite as well.
That's a great point. When you spend $10,000 on a tree because you want to make an effect right now, you're taking a risk that thing does not survive.
Yeah, you're shocking it a lot.
It's been very used to situations.
Especially when you train it from a young age and you have that plant grow there. By the time it's established and full grown, that thing is going to be pretty bulletproof.
True, and they're much more adaptable when they're young as well. So you can take something that likes a little bit more shade and put it in something that's where it's not getting as much, and it can adapt if you water it correctly. So, the young trees, just plan for the future. It's good. What's the quote? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today.
That's right.
Yeah,
I like that.
You want to read our little closeout conclusion there, Steve-O?
At Nature's Rhythm Design Studio, we specialize in designing landscapes that reflect both function and beauty. Whether you want to screen a neighbor's view, create an outdoor retreat, or enhance a large property's edges, we'll design a solution that grows with you. Serving Travelers West, Greenville, and the surrounding upstate. Ready to reclaim your privacy? Contact us today to start planning.
Contact us.
You like that?
You know you liked it.
All right, guys, that's this week's episode for Privacy with a Purpose.
That's
right. Tune in next week for our next episode. Enjoy this cooler weather. Now's a great time to plant. So get out there, get a shovel. Put plants in the ground. This is the time to do it.
They do like it. Just make sure you water them. It can be a little dry in the fall time. And drink coffee and plant plants.
All right. See
you later.
See you guys.
The grass is alive. Swing it and snap and feel the vibe. Thoughtful Thursdays, oh hey, hey. Designed to the rhythm of nature, they say.